Hello friends, in today's video we're going to be working on this Chevrolet Aveo. This particular model is 2010 and the job we're going to take on today is that we're going to change the auxiliary belt pulley tensioner. The existing one is making really loud winding noise, so that's the reason why we're going to change it. So here is the new tensioner. We got this one from our local auto part dealer for £50, so that's what we're going to change. So the way we're going to get to it is that we're going to remove this wheel arch liner trim here. This one is a really long piece, so it has to be cut in the middle for us to remove it. So we're just gonna show you the way we're gonna take it off. It's already been cut once. Someone already worked on this side of the car before. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this trim here. So we are removing the 10mm nut underneath. There are two of them. There we go. Perfect. So we're gonna cut these cable ties to split the, well, it's already been split in half. So we're just gonna cut the cable ties to move the trim. There we go. So that's the trim out of the way. So now we have the full access to the tensioner, which is situated just up there. This one here. Right, so this car has two belts. One is a small belt, which is um, driving the power steering pump and the water pump. In order to remove this small belt, because this one is not directly on the tension, what we're gonna do is we're gonna undo these two bolts, this one and this one here. Well, we're gonna loosen the bottom one and we're gonna remove the top one completely, which will allow us to remove this auxiliary belt. For that we are using a 12mm socket and impact driver. So for the bottom one we just gonna use a ratchet instead. There we go. The bottom bolt doesn't have to be fully disengaged. It's just the top one. We just want to loosen the power steering pump so that we can tilt the power steering pump pulley to remove the belt. There we go. So that's the top bolt fully out. Now that the pump is moving, so we're gonna remove the belt. There we go. So the belt just came off, nice and easy. So this is the belt we changed last week. So that is the small belt out of the way. So now we're gonna remove the main belt, which is down there. Sorry about the camera angle. Alright, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use a 19mm spanner and we're gonna place it onto the tensioner stud, and we're gonna pull the tensioner towards the front to release the tension. So just gonna do that now. There we go. There we go. Nice and easy. So next we're gonna pull the belt off the tensioner itself. There we go. So the belt will not come off till you remove the spanner. Just like that. Perfect. So it's the same procedure for changing the belts as well. So you just use a 19mm spanner to release the tension, and then you just wrap the auxiliary belt around the pulleys. So make sure you study the old belt, the way it goes around the pulleys, and that's how you're gonna change the new one. So that is the Torx 12 socket to remove the tensioner bolt. There you go, nice and easy. Perfect. There we go, that's the bolt out of the way. And then this is the tensioner. Right, here's the faulty tensioner. So most of the time it's the bearing inside here, they get destroyed because of the wear and tear, or it's the actual spring here, so it could be anything. Right, so before we fit the new tensioner, I'm just gonna match it with the old part. So it sits in this slot here, can't go wrong with it. There's only one way it can fit in. Right, here we go, friends, we're ready to put the new tensioner back into the car. So just gonna show you this pin here. That is to release the tension on the tensioner. So if you see it here, this pin is stopping the spring, this spring from going that way. So once we fit the tensioner, that's when we're gonna pull this pin out to put the tensioner back on proper position. So this is how it looks. So the old tensioner without the pin. Okay, so this piece here is up here, and the new tensioner with the locking pin, the plate is here. So in normal circumstances, that part here, that plate here should have been here, but because of this pin is locking the tension at the moment. That's something we're gonna pull out once we fit the tensioner back in place. There we go. Then the bolt goes in, and hand tighten it to start off with. Just gonna torque it up. There we go, that's the tensioner bolt fully secured. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap the belt all around the pulleys in the right manner. So we're gonna come from the top. So you drop the belt from the top, from the engine bay. Then it goes on to the condenser pulley here. Next is the flywheel. So next is the actual tensioner. There we go, just like that. So flywheel, then the tensioner, then onto the alternator pulley. So instead what we've done is we've done the alternator first and then the flywheel pulley. There we go. That is the belt nicely routed around all the pulleys. So you got the aircon condenser thing there, then you got the tensioner itself, this crank pulley, the alternator, and the one up there which is the water pump pulley. The water pump pulley has two pulleys, one is the main and the other one is the sub. The sub pulley for the small belt so that it can drive the power steering pump. Right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to pull the pin out with the pliers. That's the pin out, and you could see the tensioner going back to the normal position. And just going to show you the tension on the belts. Yeah, perfect. That's all nicely done here. So now we're going to go into the engine compartment to fit the small belt, which will go around the water pump and the power steering pump. Okay, there we go. So the bottom first, and then just gonna there we go. So that's the belt nicely been slided onto the pulleys. So next we're gonna drive in the top bolt. Just gonna line up the holes and gonna drive in the bolt. Now the bottom one. There we go. So that's the top bolt nicely secured, and then the bottom one. Perfect. That's nice and tight. That's the power steering pump fully secured. So before we put the wheel arch liner cover back on, we're gonna start the car up to check whether the belts are nicely fitted onto the car. There we go. Just gonna show you from under the wheel arch. All working fine without any issue. Before we could hear the grinding noise from the tensioner because of the worn out bearing. Perfect. So next we're gonna fit the wheel arch liner, the trim here. So just gonna fit the undercover. So that gets secured with two 10mm nuts. Sorry, I meant there's one bolt and then this one is the nut. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so just gonna bring this wheel arch trim now. Okay, so that's how it gets fitted. Perfect. There we go, friends. That's the trim nicely been fitted on this car. I hope you find this video helpful. Thank you very much for watching the video.